This is the Troll Patrol. Live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Thursday. Good evening. You know, all this time, Warlord, I thought you've been saying Joe Ever. You've been saying Jover. I was like, why does he keep saying Joe Ever? I was saying Boo Earns. Good evening, welcome. It's the end of the week for the Freak Daddy. Oh, wait a minute, not anymore. We got another show tomorrow night. It's the Friday Night Freak Show returning for Friday the 13th with special guest host, the Media Winch. So I'm going to have to actually fire this bitch up tomorrow night. Talk about bullshit. Mitochondria. Good evening. So glad to see you. Hey, if you come within like the first 20 minutes, you'll always be in freaking time. Just in time. I usually bullshit. I try to get to the news about 20 minutes in. This coffee is so good. I just made fresh coffee. I love coffee so much. Welcome. Good evening. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Hope you're having a better day than Steve Scalise. Hope you're having a better day than the people of Gaza. Probably not hard on that one. What does get me hard, though, however, is apparently Mike Lindell is incredibly mad at Stephen Colbert. Sparkles, what did you get from Taco Bell? Why wouldn't you eat Taco Bell and watch me? Because there's going to be enough shit going on in your life? Because you're eating Taco Bell? Shelly, good evening. I got Taco Bell a week or two ago. And I got those, rolled chicken tacos? They're like chicken taquitos. And they were really hard, and they sucked. But that might not be Taco Bell's fault. It could just be I had DoorDash bring them. If they were fresh, they might have been good. I like the nacho fries. Resonate. You got 2 chupacabras. I like the nacho fries. The nacho fries were the best things I had. And then the cinnamon twists were really good. But like cinnamon twists aren't going to go bad in the 20-30 minutes it takes to get to my apartment. So that would explain why, the cinnamon twists were good. But I was supposed to get, it was like a midnight sparkling iced tea or some shit. And they just gave me a glass of seltzer or seltzer water or whatever the fuck you call it. And that sucked. I don't remember if I reset my drops or not, so when I flip over to the next screen, if Charlie Kirk or somebody pops up on you, sorry, be prepared. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I reset them. Oh, I did not get a meme ready. I have not been prepared. Media Winch and I were doing a test just a few minutes ago to make sure everything was working well. And I've still got a few little issues. Apparently, I'm not going to be able to play clips. I'm not going to be able to play her titty smack. That kind of makes me sad. But if it just has to be... If it just has to... Were you not here for titty smack? Or titty slap? A titty slap. Hold on, I'll find it. Here's your meme of the day. Parents, please check your children's Halloween candy this year. I just opened up my son's Snickers. There was a drag queen story hour happening inside. I feel sick. Sparkles is sending me a PM over here, adding on to my Mussolini joke from the other day. It was remember Monday was Columbus Day, right? And there was this meme trend that was going around where people were like, replace all statues of Columbus with a real Italian hero. And Smokey. And one of them had Mussolini, and I was like, well, that's a great idea, but only if it's upside down, you know? What am I looking? Oh yeah, titty slap. A titty slap, huh? I gotta find titty slap. Hold on. How did, I feel like I even posted it in the Discord. So you're telling me, Warlord, you don't even watch the shit that I post in the Discord? How you gonna do me like that?
A titty slap!
What? Apparently you didn't. You didn't see titty slap. One of the greatest moments in the history of professional wrestling. Ah, shit.
A titty slap!
What? Yeah, you heard that right. What the hell? Come on now. Oh! We'll see you in picture in picture.
A titty slap!
What? Yeah, you heard that right. What the hell? Come on now.
Give me those titties, huh? Yeah, that's what Vince has been doing to the masseuses he's been sexually abusing. But you guys did not come here for me to talk about my love of wrestling. You came here to hear me talk about the news. You are indeed going to get to see some titties tonight. An Arizona dad went to a school board meeting to protest the school's dress code. Did a whole striptease for us. I wish I was lying. I wish I didn't have to play you this video. He does not pull the look off, I'll tell you that right now. This one happening in my hometown, if it hadn't happened in my hometown, this is the kind of story I would cover on the Troll Patrol. But if it hadn't been in my hometown, it might not have made national news to where I would have seen it. Be able to bring it to you guys. A woman arrested after a disturbance call at Applebee's. The story is wild. This is her second arrest. She's not from my hometown. Apparently she keeps coming to my hometown. She keeps getting arrested. Last night we talked about the death penalty, so tonight I am going to be proud to bring you a exoneration of an Oklahoma convict that the Innocence Project has been working on, recently freed after 35 years, exonerated of murder. Someone who was not exonerated is one Carly Russell, who called in a report of a missing child off the interstate in Alabama earlier this year. Apparently that was a hoax. She has been found guilty. During a bench trial, it's going to go up to apparently an appeals court, and they're going to have a jury trial then. We'll get you all those details. Do you remember the story of Elijah McClain? This is one that has infuriated me for years, because I do believe this story actually happened before I was ever doing the Troll Patrol. But it has taken this long to get to trial. Elijah McClain was I think he was 19 years old. This was in Aurora, Colorado. He was walking home from a gas station, did absolutely nothing wrong, and the cops confronted him, injected him with ketamine, causing his death. Good news is that one of the cops that injected, I take that back. I don't know if it was the cop or the paramedic that got charged. Hopefully it was the cop. The whole story is wild, right? So they had some sort of program going on where they were testing ketamine for people that were being detained. Whole bunch of bullshit. We'll get to that here in a little bit. In Minneapolis, I think it was in Minneapolis. Might have been just somewhere in Minnesota. I didn't write down all the details. I'm sorry. 5 different cops have been shot. A suspect is in custody. Somewhere in Minnesota, maybe Minneapolis, I don't know. 2 different stories about the UN tonight. One where the UN, you're going to have sympathy for them, and then the other where you're going to be like, what the fuck, UN? Of course, we're going to have to talk about the ongoing conflict in Israel. Fox News, we read the statement from Bernie Sanders last night, the highest ranking Jewish politician in the country. So, of course, when he releases a statement that humanizes Palestinians, Fox News ain't going to be happy about it. They're going to attack the Jewish politician. I wonder if they're calling him an anti-Semite. Gonna get a dose of Cornell West tonight. Cornell West and Alan Dershowitz had it out on Fox News over Israel. I'm sure Brother West set the record straight, and the Dersh is a gigantic piece of shit who almost certainly raped a young girl, one of Epstein's clients. So weird to me that all the people are like, what about Epstein's client list? What about Epstein's client list? Over on Fox News, see Alan Dershowitz regularly appear on the show, on the channel. New charges brought against Senator Bob Menendez. New charges brought against Representative George Santos. Speaking of representatives, the House of Representatives still not able to, because obviously we're not covering a floor vote right now. I woke up this morning, I checked to see if there was going to be a floor vote, and we were going to go live. I was ready to go live at any time. I've even got the artwork ready for the stream whenever we have a floor vote for the Speaker of the House. Not today, maybe not tomorrow. Who knows? Apparently, Steve Scalise, who was the nominee of the GOP caucus, is out. This breaking just as we're coming on. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Welcome, good evening, Libertad. How are you, my friend? Vote to skip what? Anybody else sneak in here on me? What story did you break? Didn't know Warlord was out here doing journalism. I thought you were just playing World of Warcraft all day. Yes, you were how I actually found out about it. Because I was getting ready to go live on the stream, so you were the first post I saw about it. So thank you, Producer Warlord, doing a fantastic job. Love you, buddy. Oh, did I mention that Cenk Uygur is running for president? The announcement video was 40 minutes. Him explaining his plan if he was elected president's like 20 minutes. He's a U.S. citizen, isn't he? He was born in the United States. His parents are Turkish, right? That scat story was piss poor. What? He wasn't born in the U.S.? I thought he was. Well, how the fuck is he running for president then? Now, I think you might be wrong on that, Warlord. I think he's American. A United States citizen. I think his parents were Turkish. But I'm also not sure. But we'll get to that. At least 39 minutes too long indeed. The explanation for why he's running is, or what his plans were, he was born in Turkey? Then what the fuck is he even doing? Nix, good evening. Huh. Well, now. If there's not many places for a leftist like me to go work. So if there is a possibility that one day the Young Turks might hire me for any number of positions, production, cameraman, maybe even on-air personality, then I think Cenk is awesome, and I totally support his running for president. If there's not a chance in hell of me ever going to work for the Young Turks, then you can hear what I have to say about Cenk here in a little bit. Just saying, just throwing it out there. It's always a book plug. Oh, poor Maynard's throwing up again. This is like the second time he's thrown up. Right, I'm coming on. You okay, buddy? Last night I gave DJ Dub, good evening. Last night I have to separate the cats when I give them wet food, because if I don't, Socks will eat all his and then eat all Smokey's and then eat all Maynard's. So I have to put Socks in a separate room when I feed them wet food. Well, I was working on a voiceover and completely forgot to let Socks out of the bedroom in there. He shit in the middle of the bed. He was only in there like 20, 30 minutes. There's a litter box in there. He had wet food. He just didn't want to be, it's the Johnny Depp. I thought Amber Heard was the one that shit the bed. I don't know. I don't keep up with the celebrity gossip. Not a big fan of the celebrity bullshit. It was 50-50. Both of them shit the bed. Libertad, can we get a ruling on this? Who shit? I know you kept up with that one. I swear, I put my French press right here next to the bar so I could get another cup of coffee. Completely forgot to get my creamer. What a dumbass I am. Richard, good evening. You didn't correct me. You didn't tell me. You had to be corrected there. You said Johnny Depp shit the bed. It was Amber Heard shit the bed. I think. Here, I gotta go get some coffee, so I'm gonna leave you guys with my favorite clip in the world right now, and I will be back in just a minute. Real short.
No. Oh! We'll see you in picture.
A titty slap.
What the? What? Yeah, you heard that right. What the hell?
Give me those titties,
Come on
huh?
now. Oh! We'll see you in picture in picture.
A titty slap.
What the? What? Yeah, you heard that right. What the hell?
Give me those titties.
Come on now. Oh! We'll see you in picture in picture.
A titty slap.
What the? What? Yeah, you heard that right. What the hell?
Give me those titties.
Come on now. Oh!
Give me those titties, huh? Sorry. Guy Comic, good evening. I had to go refill my coffee. I forgot to put my creamer on the other side of the bar. Ah, shit. News by 20 minutes in. I promise. I'm a little late.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Content warning because it's god awful. Nine UN staffers killed in an airstrike in Gaza. 9 United Nations staff members have been killed by Israeli airstrikes in Gaza since Saturday, the UN's Agency for Palestinian Refugees confirmed on Wednesday. The UN Relief and Works Agency said 9 staffers had been killed in airstrikes since the start of Israel's counterattack on Gaza, with several of the staff members killed late on Tuesday. Is it up to 12 now? God damn. Also, the death toll well over 2,600 now. The protection of civilians is paramount, including in times of conflict, is according to Juliette Truma, the UNRWA Director of Communications. They should be protected in accordance with the laws of war. The strikes are part of an aggressive counteroffensive by the Israeli military after the Palestinian militant group Hamas sent a barrage of rocket strikes and militants into the country on Saturday. Apparently, is it the Israeli Times? They are saying that they have confirmed the decapitation of the babies, but it's still sketchy as to how they confirmed it. And if UN staffers were going to die, why did it have to be humanitarian aid workers in Palestine? Why couldn't it have been these peacekeepers in the Congo who have now been suspended and detained over allegations of sexual exploitation? United Nations has suspended and detained 8 peacekeepers in eastern Congo over allegations of sexual exploitation. A statement from the UN on Wednesday said it has taken strong measures in response to reports of serious misconduct by peacekeepers. Peacekeepers have been confined pending further details and a full investigation. According to a UN official, the 8 peacekeepers are from South Africa, and they were detained in the city of Beni in North Kivu province after being caught with prostitutes at an Wait a minute. If that's all they were doing, then I'm against this, because like just patronizing sex workers shouldn't be a big deal. So they were caught with prostitutes at an unauthorized bar after curfew. The official was not authorized to speak about the specifics of the case and spoke on condition of anonymity. The story says prostitutes. Conflict has been simmering in eastern Congo for decades, where more than 120 armed groups are fighting in the region, mostly for land and control of mines with valuable minerals, while some groups are trying to protect their communities. More than 12,000 UN peacekeepers operate in the country. Their mission is to protect civilians, deter armed groups, and build the capacity of state institutions and services. Despite the presence of the peacekeepers in Congo for decades, the conflict has continued and is increasing. I feel like if they were trafficking victims or if they were underage, which can be one and the same, I feel like it would have stated that. This story isn't like they're just saying they were caught with hookers at a bar after hours. That's not as egregious as I was led to believe by this headline. I will withhold judgment. Perhaps they were trafficking victims, perhaps they were underage. But if this was a consensual thing, that they were just paying sex workers, then these 8 peacekeepers are cool in my book. Ain't nothing wrong with living in a little sexual anarchy.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Back to the conflict in Israel. Apparently, videos of tunnels from Gaza have been released. This was one of the ways they were able to carry out the Hamas was able to carry out the attack on Saturday.
Destruction in Gaza. Buildings toppled, cars crushed, smoke and fire. Under it all, unseen miles of tunnels, some reportedly more than 100 feet deep. Built and rebuilt over the years at a cost of tens of millions of dollars, the system is sometimes referred to as the Gaza Metro.
They were constructed since even before 2007, when Hamas took control of Gaza, and they used to run from the Egyptian border into Gaza. They were initially smuggling routes to get weapons and other material to the terrorists in Gaza.
This video made by the Associated Press shows the inside of one in the Gaza Strip discovered by the Israeli military in 2013. Made of concrete and stone, the first were built in the early 1980s to smuggle in
Chapo would be proud.
like food and medicine after an Israeli blockade.
I would say it's important not just Hamas, but even for the population in some ways to survive if they're not getting adequately what they need, because
maybe
Israel and
maybe if they weren't living in an open air prison where 80% of their population is unemployed, where there is a dire need for food and supplies.
Egypt are in control of the movement of people and even goods that come in and out of there.
This video posted by Israel Defense Forces shows what it says are weapons hidden inside the tunnels.
Over the years, they have expanded as a way for the terrorist organization Hamas to maintain a stockpile of weapons, including rockets, hidden from view from spy satellites.
A 2014 report by National Geographic from inside Gaza said Hamas also taxes goods transported through the tunnels, which cost hundreds of millions of dollars to construct. Military experts say while valuable
Those are nice tunnels.
storage and hiding, the tunnels also have a psychological use, an unseen, unpredictable angle designed to keep enemies wondering when and where they'll be ambushed. During the Vietnam War, America became familiar with tunnel warfare as its enemies built miles of underground passages to spring up and attack U.S. soldiers.
You need training for. Urban warfare and tunnel warfare, as the United States learned in Vietnam, are different than fighting on an open battlefield. So this poses a particular risk for the IDF going into those tunnels physically to secure them, especially when you don't know the layout, you don't know what to expect down there.
On the social media platform Telegram, a Hamas spokesman says some of the hostages kidnapped from Israel are being held in the tunnels. Experts say the underground spaces could also be a challenge in a ground war in Gaza.
We can't send in U.S. Special Forces or Israeli Special Forces to secure the release of our prisoners if we don't know where they are, if they're in miles worth of tunnel underground.
This video from an Israeli weapons maker shows how so-called bunker buster missiles are built to burrow into the ground before exploding. Voices like Gerard Felitti of the Lawfare Project say Hamas using these underground passages to store weapons puts Gaza citizens living near them at risk of being injured or killed in the event of an attack on the tunnels by Israel.
But when you're hidden underground and your stockpile of weapons is underground, you are preserving your ability not just to commit terrorist atrocities against Israel, but against your own citizens.
So a military spokesman said that Gaza is basically two levels. The top level is with citizens, the bottom is for Hamas. And so, Gaza is about 140 square miles. It's 12 miles long, 6 miles wide, and it has a dense population of 2.3 million people. So it makes this whole situation very difficult. Christian.
Thomas Hoppaugh reporting from Denver. Much appreciated.
Well, how about just freeing the people? How about giving them citizenship? How about giving them their own state? I don't understand the framing of this. I don't understand how an organization like Fox News can attack the highest ranking Jewish politician in the country after he dared to portray the Palestinians as, humans. Oh, how dare he?
Secretary of State Antony Blinken and our U.S. Deputy Special Envoy for Hostage Affairs are both on the ground in Israel. Blinken will meet with Israeli President Isaac Herzog and Prime Minister Netanyahu today after the White House confirmed 22 Americans are dead in Israel and 17 are still unaccounted for.
I would say that of the 17 that Karine talked about that we...
Now, apparently we have frozen the $6 billion from Iran as of today.
Right now we think the number that we know or we believe are held hostage is very small, like less than a handful. But that could change over time. We're going to get more information every single day.
Florida Congressman Greg Steube joins us now. Congressman, you're an Army vet.
Thank you, Captain Steube.
Logistics, military logistics. How do we rescue these 17 potentially minus people, assuming they are still alive? And Congressman, should we send in U.S. Special Forces to do so?
Yeah, absolutely. We should send in our guys to go get our people out if they're being held hostage by a terrorist regime. It would be un-American not to do that. We in Congress haven't been getting reports that that's a plan, but I would hope that it is.
I'm worried that this is the start of World War III. Like, a lot of people have been saying that jokingly, but this very well could spiral into that.
I would hope that they wouldn't tell members of Congress what their intentions were, but absolutely, we should be going in and rescuing American citizens. I mean, the main challenge is, do we know where they are? Do we know where they're being held? So I'm not privy to all that intel, but I would hope that our intelligence folks and our DOD folks are doing everything we can to rescue American citizens that have been captured by Hamas.
I want to get your reaction to something Bernie Sanders, who is Jewish, said.
Thank you for saying that.
Said the targeting of civilians is a war crime no matter who does it. Israel's blanket denial of food, water, and other necessities to Gaza is a serious violation of international law and will do nothing but harm innocent civilians.
And create more terrorists.
Yeah, look how far we've fallen as a nation where Democrats are siding with terrorists who just murdered over 1,000 Israelis, murdered Americans, beheaded children. The videos and pictures that you have seen of the grotesque and gruesome barbaric acts of terrorists are met with Democrats not condemning that, but feeling bad that civilians are getting caught in the middle when Israel responds in kind, as they should. I 100% support our ally, Israel. I think they need to do everything that they can to push back on terrorism. And I commend Netanyahu. He's one of the few world leaders that's actually acting like a leader. We don't have that in the presidency in the White House right now. We still have Americans stuck in Afghanistan, for crying out loud.
Come on, man.
So I surely hope that I'm glad that we have a leader in Israel. I'm sad that we don't have that type of leadership right here in the United States.
Yeah, that statement from Bernie Sanders, especially in light of the fact that he is Jewish. I read that 3 times. I was like, am I reading this wrong? It makes no sense.
Can I ask a
yes,
Congressman?
please.
He said civilians dying is a war crime. So they're like, oh, we're pro killing civilians here on Fox News. The fuck? What the fuck?
Give you another question about the hostages. Do you think that Antony Blinken is over in Israel right now, and he's going to be meeting with the Palestinian president? Do you think that diplomacy, getting these hostages back through diplomacy, is an option?
No, absolutely not. This is a terrorist organization that have decapitated babies and are posting this type of thing online. We should be using the full force of the military to get our people out. We should be using whatever we can to help the Israelis to push back on terrorism that they're experiencing in Gaza. And it's war, so there is going to be collateral damage to that. People like ourselves in the military, we try to minimize collateral damage as much as possible.
No, you don't.
Do operations and when we do missions, but when you're dealing with this type of threat and this type of terrorism, you have to push back strongly and defend your people.
All eyes on D.C. today. Here at home, the House is going to gavel in at noon today. Republicans selecting Steve Scalise as their candidate for Speaker in a private meeting yesterday. When does this get wrapped up? Is Steve Scalise the Speaker once it does get wrapped up? And does Steve Scalise...
Well, clearly this was last night and not today. We'll update you on the speaker battle here in a second. But we ain't done with Israel and Gaza. I'm going to play you another clip from Fox News, but this time the person in it is going to be a redeeming quality for playing you a clip from Fox News. So content warning, you're going to have to see Sean Hannity's stupid fucking face. But brother Cornel West is going to hit us with some truth.
Thank you. We'll check back in with him throughout the evening time. First,
welcome, Sean.
Bigotry, anti-Semitism running rampant on university campuses around the world, London, Australia. What's happening? Chanting in Australia, about gas chambers and, for Jewish people. What is happening on our college campuses? What is happening among the Democratic Party? Some Harvard students now are scrambling to finally rescind their support of their vile letter, actually blaming the victim, Israel, for the brutal Hamas terror attacks. Not everyone disagrees with them. 2024 presidential candidate, former Harvard professor Cornel West said the students were largely right, but they lack nuance. He joins us now with reaction, along with attorney,
Get him straight.
Also Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz is with us. Thank you both for being with us.
Does not introduce the Dersh as accused pedophile and client of Jeffrey Epstein. Always weird to me that they do that. Dershowitz also looking like he fucking got dug up. He died fucking a couple of years ago, and they actually pulled him out of the coffin.
You always call me Brother Sean. I call you Brother Cornell. I'm not that happy with you tonight.
I understand. We could talk about why we...
Because we have 31 groups from Harvard. Harvard's supposed to be, I always thought, the top of the top. To get into Harvard, what an...
You gotta have rich parents.
What academic excellence you must...
No.
A cut above everyone else. And 31 student groups blaming Israel, blaming the victim. And your answer to this is they are largely right? Hamas that murdered children? Hamas that murdered innocent people?
That's what I said, though, brother.
Okay.
That's what I
they
said.
are largely right, but lacking nuance.
No, I didn't say lack nuance. That's the title of the piece.
Okay.
My actual words were, I'll just be very honest.
I got it here in front of me.
The words too. The words were that Israel's policies of war crimes and collective punishment against Palestinians
I'll read
set
it
a
to you.
context,
Israel and the United States
Hamas
are
must take
primarily
responsibility
responsible.
for killing innocent people. Anybody who kills innocent people are engaging in barbaric acts.
You said
no matter
Israel,
who they
hang
are,
on, let me
what
quote
color,
you.
what nation, and so forth.
Israel and the United States are primarily
And the United States has
responsible.
supported and enabled.
You explain to this audience. I want you to explain. How is Israel and the United States responsible for beheading 40 children? How?
I'm talking about the context. 545 Palestinian children died in August 2004. Not one American said a word. I believe a Palestinian baby has the same value as an Israeli baby. So when you have that kind of vicious hatred and revenge, You get response of hatred and revenge. They are all wrong. They're all war crimes. They're all to be condemned. But you cannot simply look at this particular moment without the larger backdrop of an ugly occupation and the ugly attacks chronically against Palestinians.
Those are not your words. Largely right. Israel and the United States are primarily responsible for this attack. Professor Dershowitz.
Well, I complained when Palestinian children were killed, but I explained why they were killed. Here is one of the leaders of Hamas. For the Palestinian people, death has become an industry. The elderly excel at this, and so do the children. This is why we have formed human shields of the women and the children. Hamas is the ones responsible for the killing of Palestinian children. Also, Hamas has a term. It's called the CNN strategy. And the CNN strategy is induce Israel into killing Palestinian children by using them as human shields. Then parade the bodies out on CNN, and you'll see what happens. People like Cornel West
Well, like that's the Israeli.
Crocodile tears, blame it on Israel when the entire blame is on the Palestinians, Hamas, for using their children as human shields, and then using their children as shields to permit the killing of Israeli children.
What is Hamas's charter?
I have the same outrage when Palestinian babies are killed, when Jewish babies or Israeli babies. I want you to have the same indignation when Palestinians are killed.
Not when they're killed. Not when they're killed by Palestinians. When you can't make a moral comparison. When Nazi kids were killed in the bombings of Dresden, I didn't have the same comparison when Jewish kids were put in gas chambers and crematoriums. You're a professor of theology. Don't you understand the moral difference between deliberately murdering a kid and having collateral damage because there are human shields? You're running for president of the United States. What would you do? Let me tell you. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question.
Okay.
What would you do if if terrorists were firing at American children in America and the terrorists were hiding behind Palestinian children? Would you allow the killing of Americans to continue, or would you go and get the terrorists, even if it meant possibly collateral damage on Palestinians? What would you do?
I'll tell you exactly what I would do. First, truth and morality tend to be two casualties in any context of war. I would want to tell the American people the truth. I would tell them what the context is, how we found ourselves in this situation. I would not jump for a military invasion and a genocidal attack on a
genocidal attack
on Gaza.
No, it's not a genocidal
where are they supposed to go?
When you're
where
killing
are they supposed to go? Bro, this is like Warsaw, 1943. Where do they go?
Where do they go?
Yes.
Let me tell you where they go. They go to the UN. UN is keeping
from Gaza to Geneva?
They go to no. The UN has places in Gaza. They go to the Rafah.
Oh yeah, Cornel West getting ready to say it. Okay, I was getting ready. I was getting ready to throw that out there.
UN is keeping
from Gaza to Geneva?
They go to no. The UN has places in Gaza. They go to the Rafah crossing.
UN people have been killed in the last few days.
They go to Egypt. They go.
Egypt,
wait a minute.
Get out.
Let
Come
me
on,
make
brother.
another thing clear.
That's a puppy.
The city is very dense.
Absolutely.
But Gaza itself, the Gaza Strip, there's lots of room. The Israelis have said, get out of Gaza City. Go to Rafah. Go to Khan Yunis, go to other places. And you know what Hamas is saying?
With no water, no food, no electricity.
You know what
all
Hamas is saying? Hamas is saying, don't go.
Oh, I'm not here to defend Hamas.
Well, you are here.
I'm not defending Hamas.
Wait a minute.
Don't you ever lie on me like that, brother. I'm defending the suffering of Palestinians.
I want to hear
and Hamas itself committing war crimes.
I want to hear you say.
Anybody who commits war crimes are barbaric. I'm saying that explicitly, but I want you to say if the Israeli Defense Forces are killing children, are they barbaric?
No.
Are they ever barbaric?
No. If they target children.
Yes. Have they ever targeted children?
They sure have.
Never in the history
78 years.
have they ever targeted a child
you got to
deliberately.
Get off the crack pipe, man, please.
No, they have never targeted a child.
They killed one innocent person?
Not purposely.
Since 1948?
Not
Are
purposely.
they that pure? Are they that
You don't have to be very pure not to kill
please.
a child. Not to kill a child.
They
killed 550
let me show
because
something.
they're being used as human shields.
Let me show something we showed on this program last night.
On this.
What I'm about to show this audience, these are cartoons. that are air in Gaza for young children that are taught to hate the Jewish people. You know, just watch this for a second, and I'll have you both comment. Watch that.
لأنه اليهود أطفالهم بعلموهم على الشراسة والدمار والقتل.
The Jews teach their children to slaughter. I can't see for their.
وجوه الدمار الحقيرة رآها العدو كره طفولتها كره بطولتها صوب البندقية وأطلق الرصاصة.
Professor West,
Yes.
if you brainwash and indoctrinate young children, that is, you're teaching them to hate from that young age. Not good.
No.
Here's the problem.
What do you think the right's doing in this country?
Is immoral and wrong.
Here's the problem I
just want
have
my
with your
brothers
piece.
and others. If there's any hatred
Hang on a
of
second.
anybody,
Let me-
including
let me-
Palestinians,
Would
that's
you
wrong
condemn
too.
Black Lives Matter Chicago for justifying the Hamas murder by using these little airplane things and coming down on the music event?
But
I want to
hear.
hear.
I would certainly condemn it.
You
I would
condemn
certainly
Black
condemn-
Lives Matter.
I would condemn anybody.
Okay.
It's not a matter of
I'm
skin
glad to hear
pigmentation.
you.
This is morality and spirituality.
Okay,
brother.
so you condemn Black Lives
But
Matter.
part of our challenge, though, and this is important just as a leader, you see, he asked me what I would do. I would say we've got the occupation. We got to
This
make
has
sure
nothing to do
that
with the
Palestinians
occupations.
have the same dignity, the same rights as Israelis.
Let me ask you a
That's
question.
at the center.
Here's
That's
my-
at the core.
You know I support
Guys,
that.
guys,
you know I
that's at the
support the
core.
two-state
But I don't
solution.
see you-
But Hamas doesn't
Two-state
support the
solution, not the-
two-state solution. Hamas opposes
Professor
it.
West, I want to.
But we know we've covered this several nights in a row now that the Netanyahu government has propped up and even funded Hamas because they don't want to deal with the Palestinian Authority. They don't want a two-state solution. They want to prevent a Palestinian state. So, like, to blame the Palestinians for Hamas is just absurd.
This question. Would Gaza be facing annihilation if Hamas did not attack and kill all these innocent Israelis?
Of course not.
Gaza has been facing
You're not
a
answering.
chronic
Would they be
process
facing
of
an imminent annihilation?
since 2000.
Would they be
And
facing
2000 and what?
imminent
2000 and
annihilation?
what?
Since 2006 and 7, and Gaza was taken over by Hamas. I'm not
And they
pro-Hamas.
start-
I'm pro-democracy, but I'm concerned about the suffering of Palestinians.
Israel didn't fire a single rocket until Hamas fired 5,000 rockets.
Israel controls the
starting
land, the air,
only after
containment,
Hamas
the
took
food
over.
going in, the trade
Only
coming in,
after.
and so. But it was already under occupation
It
since
was never.
1967.
No. The occupation ended 2005. Learn your history.
Oh.
Sharon left. Every American, every Israeli settler, every Israeli soldier left. In 2006, it was like Singapore. It could have been the nicest place in the Mediterranean. Then Hamas
You don't
overthrew
think
them.
New York would be under occupation if another country owned its air, its space,
It didn't
its food
own
going
it
in, its
between
trade.
2006
There's
and
containment, brother. There's
2008.
containment. Let's be
Only
honest
after
about it.
Hamas
Let
took
me
over.
let me end with this.
Yeah.
Here's a
Fuck you, Sean.
This debate could not be held on Harvard's campus today.
That's
correct?
right. That's right. I
Well,
would not be
depends on
allowed
which
to
part of the
speak at
campus you're
Harvard.
talking about.
I
don't want a
I am
homogeneous
offering
trashing
to
of
go up to
Harvard's
Harvard.
got
with-
enough problems.
I am offering to go up to Harvard and
Let's do it.
And
Well, let's
I will
go.
moderate it.
We've debated before on many
And I don't
occasions. We
think
can go to
Harvard will let Professor Dershowitz or Professor Brother Hannity on campus
Well,
to
you
do
could
it.
go with me.
We'll all go and have a.
I would protest pedophile Dershowitz going on campus.
Would you all like to see that in this audience?
Absolutely.
I will bring our audience with us. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Thank you, Cornell West, for being amazing. I've said it before. I probably won't vote for Cornell West myself. I won't begrudge you if you do vote for Cornell West. I would implore you to vote for Biden if you live in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, maybe a couple other states, because it is going to be close. And we are facing the very real possibility of a second Trump term. But I do not begrudge Cornell West for being in the race. I appreciate the fact that Cornell West is in the race, and I am going to play every Cornell West clip I can between now and the election, because the man is almost always correct. That was one 2024 presidential candidate you just heard for. Would you like to hear from another? I want to issue this disclaimer. If there is ever the possibility that the Young Turks would hire me to work in any capacity at their organization, please disregard what I'm getting ready to say. I did not mean it, and I really like you, Cenk, and think you've done a fantastic job for the progressive movement. Having said that, Cenk Uygur is announcing his run for president in 2024.
Questions. What I want you to explain is the logic behind what you're doing, right? Because it seems as though you think running is going to spark something in other potential candidates. So explain what the logic is.
Great question. So first of all, when it comes to the issue of me being a naturalized citizen, which I know we're going to get to later, if it wasn't for that, there would be no obstacles to begin with. There should be a progressive in this race. There should have been one for a long time.
Cornel West.
Williamson has been in there, but unfortunately she hasn't broken through. I have nothing but respect for her courage and her policies, etc. But at this point, we're not at progressives versus establishment. We're at 4 months left, and things must change. Otherwise, we're almost definitely going to lose to Trump.
What do you mean when you say 4 months left? I know what you mean, but explain it to the audience.
So Iowa, South Carolina primaries, caucuses, etc., start in about 4 months. So in fact, the Nevada ballot deadline is on October 16th. So it's in a couple of days. That forces us to go now, right? And so first of all, if Joe Biden drops out, everything is possible. Everything is possible. All the other candidates
ain't happening.
Governor Whitmer, Governor Shapiro, you name it. They will all come in and we'll have a real primary, which we should have had from day one. By the way, when we don't do primaries, Republicans get their message out in their primaries. Is constantly talking about Republican X or Republican Y. Democrats have gotten none of their message out. We need a real strong primary. So my job is to be basically Paul Revere.
I agree with him on that.
Biden's gonna lose, Biden's gonna lose. We gotta go now. We have to change that dynamic. So I'm gonna, pressure Biden to get out of the race. So if he leaves now, he's a hero. He did something incredibly magnanimous. He beat Trump last time. He was a good steward of the economy. So he retires a hero. But if he stays in, I'm gonna explain to people that he's the villain. And if he loses to Trump, if I'm wrong and he beats Trump, then great. Then my apologies to Joe Biden. But that's not gonna happen, and we all know that's not gonna happen. So the idea is to create enough pressure on Biden. And here's how you get the pressure. One of the ways you get the pressure is everybody thinks that I have almost no chance of winning, right? Well, let's keep it real. Everybody knows that, right? They're like, oh, your name is funny.
You do have no chance of winning.
You're an outsider, et cetera, right? If I get to 20 or 25, panic sets in. There's no question panic sets in because there's two things that happen there. One, the other candidates go,
whoa. Does he really think he's gonna get to 20-25% in the polling? That's absolutely fucking delusional. He couldn't even win a congressional race. Like, what the fuck?
Biden is enormously weak, right? Number two is Biden begins to realize the handwriting's on the wall. If this Cenk Uygur, who he probably can't pronounce, has gotten to 25. The handwriting's on the wall. He's gotta go. And by the way, Anna, the reason why this is realistic is because there are a lot of people in Washington, inside the establishment, that are trying to get Joe Biden to drop out. We need to help them. We need to create that pressure.
Okay, let me jump in. You have publicly Bill Maher, James Carville, behind the scenes, other members of the Democratic Party urging Biden to drop out, saying that this is a massive risk that will likely get Donald Trump reelected again. Why do you think that you would be an effective voice in dissuading Biden from running again?
Yeah, there's two things about that in it. So number one, why aren't they in the race? So look, you can say, well, what do you mean? Why should Bill Maher go in the race? Of course, James
Carville. What?
Yeah, but guys, just talking about it isn't getting anything done. So you need to actually have someone in the race that is actively pushing him out. and saying, so like these like polite beseeching of Joe Biden isn't working. And yes, we've got to crank up the dial. And so one of the ways you do that is you have a real candidate who actually makes a real run at him. And when you have make a real run at him, that's going to create an enormous amount of pressure.
You're not going to make a run at him.
Sitting there as time runs out in Washington, D.C. Now, you're getting to an important point here. And I know some people are nervous. Well, I mean, if Joe Biden only has a 10% chance of winning, and Cenk, you criticize him, does that come down to 9% or 8%? What difference does it make? He's going to lose. 10% isn't enough to win. He's massively behind. He's massively behind, okay?
Where is he pulling these numbers from? This is some real Scott Steiner math here.
You take your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning.
If I garner 25% and Joe Biden has a 10% chance of losing, you got a 33 and 2/3% chance. The fuck?
So instead, what the point of turning up the pressure is if you lose to Trump, it is going to be on the record. We warned you. I warned you. I came in the race in a crazy attempt to make a difference because we're on a collision course with fascism. And if Joe Biden says, yes, I am that selfish. Yes, I don't care about you guys. I don't care if democracy's on the line. I don't care if I'm 80. I don't care if I'm 180. My legacy and my ego is more important than anything else in the world. So I will stay here and try to get a 2-term president because 2 terms is better than 1 term. And guys, and if you're in the press or you're out there as a voter, you all know that's what he's thinking. You all know that, right? You know that it's all about his ego and it is intensely selfish.
I honestly don't believe that. I actually believe that Joe Biden probably thinks he has the best shot of beating Trump. Genuinely. I don't think it's about his ego. And I'm no fan of Joe Biden, so like, it's wild. It's wild for Cenk to be talking about this, about, Joe Biden's doing it for his ego. Joe Biden's the one doing it for his ego, eh?
And I'm going to say that 2,000 times on every show until he gets it through his thick head. Stop being selfish. Democracy is actually on the line. JustinFREAKIN.com.
You, in a recent interview with the Sitch and Adams show, you had described your congressional run for California's 25th district as the worst experience.
Good job, Anna. Good question.
In that election, you received 6.6% of the vote.
I haven't said that phrase in a while.
Worst experience of my life. What makes you think that anything would be different this time around? Given the way the media.
So listen to that again. He got 6% of the vote in a congressional race in California. But he thinks he's going to garner 25% of the vote in a national race against Joe Biden. I'm flabbergasted here.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Tones, good evening. So glad to see you, my friend.
Treated you, given the stunts that the Democratic Party pulled against you, in order for your plan here to work, you just said it. If you start seeing support for you, 20 to 25% of the vote, that seems like you got that support, then maybe there'll be actual pressure for Biden to step down and not seek re-election. But what makes you think you're going to get anywhere near that, considering what you've already experienced with the media's treatment of you?
Great question.
Yeah. So I'm under no delusion that mainstream.
She had to couch it with in the media's treatment of you, and she has a point there. But like, wow.
Media is going to be all of a sudden, Cenk Uygur, we've changed our minds.
No, they're going to be vicious.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I know how mainstream media works, and I said it today in another interview. They will lie, they will smear me. There's no question. That's what they do to every program.
Also, at this point, isn't TYT mainstream media? Let's be real.
And if you're in mainstream media and you're pretending that you're not biased against progressives, that is hilarious. And then you will make that pretense in the middle of an article where you attack me. Go ahead, you know you're going to. There isn't going to be one positive article about it, right? But hey, I'm also trying to get your beloved Whitmers and Newsoms, et cetera, into the race.
Don't say Newsom.
Okay, I know that you're not in favor of it, but that's a different conversation. So I don't think that the mainstream media is going to be any different. No, there's two things that are different, Anna. One is, I'm not the only one who thinks Joe Biden needs to get out of the race and we need to have a real primary. Tons of people.
I agree with that.
72% of Democratic voters want it. And Democratic Party, what is wrong with you? That you ignore 72% of your voters who scream, give us another candidate. So if you didn't want me in the race, well, then you should have given him another candidate, okay? And if you didn't give him that, you got me instead. So deal with it. Now, in terms of why it's different in terms of being able to break through. In the congressional run, we couldn't break through. Why not? Because they smeared me. And by the way, if I read the LA Times article and I was a voter in the 25th congressional district and I heard nothing else about me, I would have voted against me. Because the lies and the smears in there were unreal. I mean, they said I was anti-Muslim. I wouldn't vote for a guy who's anti-Muslim. They didn't tell people that I'm actually Muslim, that my background's Muslim, right, et cetera. So, but this time, it's a little bit different media dynamic. So now we have a great number of online shows. We have more liberal outlets, conservative outlets, independent outlets, like you name it. We've got every kind of outlet there is in online, in radio. I've been on black radio. I'm going to go back onto black radio.
He's got black friends, guys.
Every kind of outlet that will have me on, and my guess is a lot of outlets will have me on. In the old days, mainstream media can freeze you out, right? And then you're done for. They smear you, oh, this guy's anti-Muslim, and they anti-this, anti-that, and then you never get your voice out. Well, now, look, guys, here, I'm going to keep it real. When an online show has me on, the views are going to go up because people are interested in it. And so if maybe the entire internet will say, no, we're not interested in views. No, we're not interested in Cenk. We're not interested in another choice. Biden's got it. Biden's on cruise control here. He's definitely going to win. My guess is a lot of shows, wherever they are on the political spectrum, are going to go, oh, okay, there's a fight, okay? And now there's a real challenge. And look, one of my advantages is I am loud. And so that is sometimes a disadvantage. But in this case, someone's got to scream from the rooftops. Biden's going to lose. Biden's going to lose. We've got to get another candidate. But the advantage I have is, yes, I'm loud. I'm a warrior. And I will make this case. Not only the case that Biden's got to go, but our case. So even though this is not progressive versus establishment, and I will take any candidate, myself or others, that is going to beat Trump, yes, but our policies are more popular, and I'm not afraid to say it. And so you almost never hear someone forcefully making the argument. Why haven't they done paid family leave? 84%. Republicans wanted, Democrats wanted paid family leave. Give moms 12 weeks off.
Welcome back to TYT. We're interviewing Cenk Uygur, who's
We're interviewing Cenk Uygur, the host of the show that you're watching. Oh, yeah, that's enough of that. Wow. Well, that's a thing. Let's go back to the real world. Somebody who realized they didn't have a shot of winning and decided to pack it up and go home is a man by the name of Steve Scalise, dropping out of the race for the Speaker of the House. As I said, I've had my eye on the Congressional Caucus all day today, all day yesterday. I've already got the artwork made. I'm ready to go whenever this floor vote finally happens. See, already made the artwork for the stream. Ready to take that. Well, I guess now I got to pull Steve Scalise off of the motherfucker. Because he's out. Will not be really leaving his post as House Majority Leader. He announced on Thursday he's abandoning his campaign for House Speaker after a persistent group of GOP holdouts refused to budge. It leaves Republicans without a GOP nominee for the job 9 days after Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted. I was very clear we have to have everybody put their agendas on the side and focus on what this country needs. The country is counting on us, Scalise told reporters. There's some folks that really need to look in the mirror over the next couple of days and decide, are we going to get it back on track or they're going to try to pursue their own agenda. Scalise said he will remain in his role as House Majority Leader, and he has no plans to endorse another Speaker candidate at this time. Scalise won the nomination on Wednesday in a 113-99 vote. But on Thursday, it became clear he wasn't making any progress. He wasn't making the progress that was needed to risk a vote on the House floor. The GOP is in a tight spot, with any combination of 5 Republicans being enough to sink a Speaker bid, at least without help from Democrats. And there is going to be no help from Democrats unless they want to do a joint power-sharing agreement. Democrats do have that offer on the table. House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan narrowly lost the nomination to Scalise and could now contest the nomination again. That's the latest. Here is the news hit that I had prepared for tonight from PBS from a couple of hours ago, but this is before Scalise actually dropped out.
Republicans and Congressman Steve Scalise today may have slipped further away, not closer, from having the votes to fill the job of Speaker of the House. The chamber remains frozen and Republicans deeply divided over who should lead them. Our Lisa Desjardins spoke to dozens of members and joins us now. So Lisa, your reporting is that Scalise may have lost support, lost momentum today. Tell us about it.
This was unusual. Now it is extraordinary, Jeff. Somehow this ship without a captain has become even more unmoored. Steve Scalise spent 2.5 hours speaking to House Republicans today, but when they exited, Republicans were less sure, many of them, about his leadership. Now, as for Scalise, he did speak to the press, and he said he is undaunted.
We're continuing to work to narrow the gap, and that's going on, and we're going to continue.
Undaunted until a couple hours later.
Members that want to meet as a group individually,
He's very daunted now.
We've gotten big things done as a conference.
Now, that idea of consensus is still eluding him, and let's talk about some specifics here. Scalise can only lose 4 Republican votes to become Speaker without Democratic help. These are the people, 14 of them, who now publicly oppose him. And in addition to that, Jeff, how about this? I want to replay sound from the story we ran yesterday. This is Keith Self of Texas. Here's what he told me yesterday.
We need to get back to work, and I think we took the vote, and Steve Scalise is our nominee, and I will vote for Steve Scalise on the floor.
After today's meeting, Jeff, Self said he is no longer going to support Steve Scalise. That kind of switch is a cataclysmic problem for not just Scalise, but the Republican Party and indeed the House of Representatives itself. We're waiting to see if Republicans meet tonight. We do not know when or if they will hold a Speaker vote this week.
So Lisa, what apparently happened in this meeting? Help us with the dynamics here. How is Steve Scalise losing support so quickly?
Right. You know, there is some concern about Steve Scalise's health. As we've reported, he is dealing with myeloma, blood cancer, but I don't really think that's a core concern here. I want to talk about 2 things that have happened in the last day. First, we know that in that meeting yesterday, Scalise and his allies blocked an attempt to change the rules over how the Speaker vote would go. Now, those who pushed that rule say that the way he blocked it, without even really giving a chance for real debate, reminded them of the past and the way leadership forced things through, got their way without consulting members. That rubbed a lot of members the wrong way. The other thing was today his speech itself in the conference meeting. I spoke to members who have known him a long time, have said, I've been with him, I've seen him really have a starring role, but today he fell flat. That his actual voice to the conference was not one of leadership. He didn't have a plan for what to do next, and that made a lot of people nervous about what's going forward. And you know, I think the other issue here, Jeff, honestly, is that some conservative radio talk show hosts are telling Republican voters to call members and to say, don't vote for Scalise. And those phones are, in fact, ringing off the hook. So much so now there's a talk of a plan C. Maybe not Scalise, maybe not Jordan, maybe someone else. Usually I wouldn't report that because it seems so out of the norm, but it is at this moment real talk.
Well, I was going to ask you that. I mean, this is very much a fluid situation. If not Steve Scalise, if not Jim Jordan, then who? Who else is waiting in the wings, and who potentially could get to 217 votes?
That's right. You know, I just can't stress enough what a strange day it was here up on the Hill. There are names being mentioned like Tom Emmer, who is in leadership now, very well liked. But in general, it seems what's happening with those who oppose Steve Scalise, that growing group, they really want a different kind of leadership, someone who hasn't been in leadership before. And I will tell you, I want to play some sound of folks we talked to today. If you listen to how people are reacting to this time, how they're handling it, there are some worried about the stakes. There are some who don't want Scalise. Essentially, Republicans are a little bit all over the place.
You know, there's a process. Like I said, it's painful and laborious at times, but I would say the momentum is quite frankly with Jim Jordan right now. I love Steve Scalise, but again, I'm not on the whip team, but I can count votes, and the votes aren't there for Steve.
Everything's at a gridlock. It's a waste of time continuing to go in there behind closed doors.
I think it could be healthy. I think it's healthy having these, you know, but at some point in time, we got to put our party and our country above our own self-interest at times.
The world's on fire. Our adversaries are watching what we do, and that, quite frankly, they like it. And Chairman Xi talks about how democracy doesn't work, and we're proving him right. And we need to fill the chair.
And talking about the Chinese leader there, this is just to stress, this is not just
throw some Red Scare bullshit in there.
Right here with the Republican Party, though, of course, that's in bold display. This is something about U.S. government. The Speaker is the second in line to the U.S. President, and really, we don't know when Republicans are going to be able to move into having a Speaker for the House of Representatives.
Lisa Desjardins, thanks as always for that up-to-the-minute reporting.
Desjardins mentioned the line of succession. In this moment where the speakership is vacated, it moves to the next person. It would actually, in the line of succession, should the vice president not be able to fill the presidency, it would be the Speaker of the House. Normally it moves to the next person, which I think is the, God, I don't even remember who it is. It's like the Secretary of something or other, isn't it? Oh, it's the President pro tempore of the Senate, and then the Secretary of the State. The President pro tempore of the Senate, which is Patty Murray, is actually the second in line at the moment due to the vacant position of Speaker of the House. Then it would be Secretary of State. Let's keep it with Congress, shall we? You saw that George Santos, one of the holdouts that refused to vote for Steve Scalise, George Santos hit with new charges earlier in the week, being hit with even more charges today.
One, is that right? Yeah. 113 and 99? Yep. 8 others.
I'm Jake Offenhartz. I'm a reporter with the Associated Press in New York. George Santos was hit with a new federal indictment detailing an additional 10 felony counts against him, including a particularly brazen scheme to steal the identities of his donors and ring up tens of thousands of dollars in unauthorized charges without their knowledge. Prosecutors said he did this in an apparent effort to inflate his campaign coffers and personally enrich himself. In one instance, he's alleged to have charged $12,000 from a contributor's card before transferring the vast majority of that money to his own personal bank account. He then attributed the unauthorized donations to his family members who did not give money to his campaign and didn't know they were part of the scheme, according to prosecutors.
And with everything going on with your investigation right now, how are you feeling?
I feel confident that I get to fight it and I have my day in court.
So clearly this adds to the serious legal peril that Santos was already facing. He told reporters that he's still planning to fight the charges, and he once again tried to blame his former treasurer, Nancy Marks. That same treasurer, who's a longtime operative on Long Island, pleaded guilty recently to her own set of financial crimes, some of which were laid out in more detail in this latest indictment against Santos. Basically, she says that she and Santos hatched this scheme to embellish his campaign finance reports with fake loans and fake donors, effectively tricking the Republican Party into throwing their support behind him.
They call that pulling the Trump.
He really was. All of this has added pressure to Republicans, who so far have declined to expel Santos. But since the indictment, we've seen half a dozen GOP Republicans introduce a resolution to expel Santos from Congress. And that resolution was sponsored by many of his fellow New Yorkers who had harsh words for Santos.
He has no business being in the halls of the House of Representatives. He's an immoral person. He's an untrustworthy person. He's scammed hundreds of thousands of votes.
I agree with you, but I could also level those charges at a few dozen other Congress people.
In terms of how long it's going to take before that vote takes place, we don't know at this point. It would require a 2/3 vote in the House, and it wouldn't be introduced until Republicans elect a new speaker. So it's something that we'll be keeping an eye on going forward.
I assume that would indeed be something that the Democrats would vote for in the 2/3. Probably wouldn't be that hard to obtain. Speaking of Congress people who are in legal trouble, let's go to the other branch of Congress, to the Senate, where Bob Menendez added to his charges.
New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez is facing a new federal charge.
The Justice Department accuses him of conspiring to act as a foreign agent to Egypt. That's according to a superseding indictment filed in federal district court in New York. Menendez and his wife were charged last month for allegedly engaging in a bribery scheme.
CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Robert Costa joins us now. Hey there, Bob. Wondering
what up, Bob?
What these new charges might mean for Menendez's political future. Obviously, there were a lot of people calling for him to resign when the first indictment was handed up. Now, even more.
For Senator Bob Menendez, this is another moment for him to barrel ahead and to say that he's not resigning, he's not stepping away from running for re-election. But this is increasing here at the Capitol. Talk among Democrats about challenging Menendez in New Jersey for that Democratic nomination for Senate. He is someone who is seen as a burden, not just for his party in New Jersey, but for Democrats nationally as they grapple with these very serious allegations.
Switching gears a little bit, House Republicans are clearly divided ahead of a vote to pick a new speaker. How is House Majority Leader...
God damn it, why'd CBS do this to me? I thought there was 4 minutes about Bob Menendez. Like, nope. We already talked about Congress and the House not being able to elect a speaker. Thank you very much. We're gonna head into some crime news. Oh, wait a minute. We've already been doing crime news. I don't think there's going to be anything too graphic on this one. It is just another day in mass shooting USA. But this time, you might actually root on the shooters. At least some of you fucks in my chat would.
This is Chicago's very own WGN Evening News at 4.
A Minnesota man is now in custody after a standoff at his property about 50 miles outside of Minneapolis. It started when he shot at officers serving a search warrant. 5 drug task force officers were wounded. The Benton County Sheriff says their injuries are not life-threatening, though. The 64-year-old suspect was also injured with a gunshot wound to the leg.
Oh, do we have an update? Yeah, there we go. Man suspected of shooting 5 officers has been arrested. You see him being taken into custody here. I believe we're going to have,
Shortly after 7 a.m. this morning, members of my office and the Sherburne County Drug Task Force came under fire as they attempted to execute a search warrant.
This is Sheriff Troy Heck. I'm serious. Sheriff Troy Heck.
resident.
What the heck?
Task force members arrived at Mr. Holmberg's residence on 190th Avenue Northeast shortly after 7 a.m. They announced their arrival multiple times before entering the home. At one point, the officers came under fire. Multiple officers returned fire, and the officers retreated to outside of the residence. 5 members of the task force sustained non-life-threatening injuries and were transported by ambulance or air ambulance for medical treatment. Injured officers include 3 Sherburne County Sheriff deputies, 1 sustained a gunshot injury, and 2 were shot in their bullet-resistant vests. 1 Elk River Police Department investigator was shot, and 1 Princeton Police Department investigator was shot. As of right now, the 2 Sherburne...
Sounds like he's kicking authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
County deputies who were shot in their vests were treated and released from the Central Care St. Cloud Hospital. The 3 other officers were taken to North Memorial Health Hospital in Robbinsdale, where they continue to be treated for gunshot injuries. All are expected to survive. The suspected shooter is Carl Thomas Holmberg, age 64, of Glendorado Township in rural Benton County. After several hours of negotiations, Mr. Holmberg was taken into custody without further incident. He was transported to North Memorial Health Hospital, where he continues to be treated.
Well, that ended abruptly. There you go. Dude didn't seem like he was a very good shot. Now, I would never celebrate police getting shot. I might celebrate a officer getting convicted, though. That's definitely a cause for celebration most of the time. In Aurora, Colorado, there was a young man by the name of Elijah McClain. This happened 2019, 2018. This happened before I was doing the Troll Patrol. But this is a case I've referred to many times because it's so egregious what the cops did. This young man was walking home from a convenience store. He had, like, Skittles was Trayvon Martin, right? But he had like some kind of candy and a soft drink. And I believe a person had called in, suspicious person walking down the street. And this young man who was, I think he was autistic or something like that, apologizes to the cops as they are fucking restraining him. They shot him up with ketamine and he died. Verdict reached in the trial of this young man's death earlier today.
All right, the court has reviewed the verdict forms, presumably signed by the foreperson. The first jury verdict, 21 CR 2782, people of the state of Colorado. We, the jury, find the defendant, Randy Rodima, guilty of criminally negligent homicide. Second verdict form, 21 CR 2782, jury verdict for the charge of assault in the second degree. We, the jury, find the defendant, Randy Rodima, guilty of assault in the third degree. Next verdict reads as follows, 21 CR 2788, jury verdict, charge of manslaughter, reckless. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Rosenblatt, not guilty of manslaughter, reckless, and the lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide.
So 2 officers were charged. Only 1 found guilty. A jury found Randy Rodima guilty of criminal negligent homicide and third degree assault. It was a lower class felony that carries a lesser sentence. We do have comments from the family of Elijah McClain.
I'm disappointed because despite all the evidence in front of their face, they still played the race card. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And when you continue to allow the type of injustice that happened to my son, there is so much to work on. There's no way we're gonna get to unity. Wow,
Okay.
Ooh, that wind ain't
I
no
know.
joke.
The Mother Nature is upset too.
Yes, literally.
Is this justice?
No, it's not. It's not justice. This is not justice. This is a misuse of taxpayer money.
Even with Rodema getting 2 guilty charges, not enough.
No, it's not enough because Rodema wasn't alone in what he did to my son. He had accomplices. He had buddies with badges that are all bullies. So it's not a victory for me. This is not a victory for me at all. This is not a victory for the human race. This is not a victory for justice. This is when one of the jurors rolled her eyes at me, that's when I knew that they were going to do what they did.
And we know Elijah's always...
Oh, he got cut there. Huh.
Yeah.
How do you keep up the strength?
Elijah told me not to worry because this isn't the final destination. This is just human judgment. And we all know that humans make mistakes. We all know that humans aren't perfect. So it helped that he told me not to worry because they have an eternal judgment that they have yet to see. And no matter how they try to clean up their slate, they still have my son's blood on their hands.
Final question, moving forward, you've been there every day that you can. You've got a little one at home, trying to learn and live his life. How do you come back day after day? This one was 3 weeks. Who knows how long the next 2 will be?
I'm the only one who can. I knew my son better than anybody. I have to be here. This is a part of my parental role, is to be here for my son, even in death.
He was a hell of a lot more gracious than I could ever be in that situation. So McClain had been stopped by police following a suspicious person report. The cops didn't even witness him doing anything. Just a suspicious... Somebody walking down the street, there's a suspicious person. Jesus fucking Christ. Says he walked home from a convenience store. His name became a rallying cry in protest over racial injustice in policing. A third Aurora officer who applied the neck hold and the 2 paramedics were indicted on similar charges, but the paramedics have more counts. Attorneys for both of the defendants in today's trial pointed to the ketamine as the cause of McClain's death. How did he get that ketamine in him? Rodema's attorney said the officers were forced to react when McClain resisted and allegedly reached for the gun of one of the officers, a claim prosecutors disputed. No, he apparently apologized to the cops as they were holding him down. Don Sisson, a defense lawyer for Rodema, has said officers had to act in the moment to protect themselves. They didn't get to watch the video over and over and over for 3 weeks before they got to act. As the split verdict was read, Rodema's mom leaned forward in her seat with her head down as Rosenblatt's wife patted her on the back. Sisson declined to comment after the verdict was read. The 3 officers charged were the first on the scene and the one who took McClain down to the ground. At least 3 officers were not charged that were involved in restraining McClain at some point. One of them, Officer Alicia Ward, testified for the prosecution that she had her hand on McClain's head when the ketamine was administered, but did not apply pressure. Ward said she would have applied pressure if McClain resisted at that point, but said she did not need to. The case initially did not receive widespread attention, but protests over the killing of George Floyd the following year sparked outrage over McClain's death. His pleading words captured on body camera footage, "I'm an introvert and I'm different." A local prosecutor in 2019 decided against criminal charges because the coroner's office could not determine exactly how the 23-year-old massage therapist died. The Colorado governor, Jared Polis, ordered State Attorney General Phil Weisner's office to take another look at the case in 2020. The officers and paramedics were indicted in 2021 by a grand jury. Rodema and Rosenblatt did not testify in their defense at trial. Their attorneys blamed McClain's death on the paramedics for injecting him with ketamine, which doctors said is what ultimately killed him. However, prosecutors argued that the officers' restraint of McClain contributed. Senior Assistant Attorney General Jason Slotherber told jurors that Rodema and Rosenblatt had encouraged the paramedics, and they did, to give McClain ketamine by describing him as having symptoms of excited delirium that they had learned about in training. But he said the officers did not tell them anything about McClain's complaints that he could not breathe, something prosecutors said happened 6 times. Sheenan McClain sat with attorneys for the state in the front row of the courtroom during the trial, part of her quest to remind the mostly white jury that her son was a real person. She watched the encounter being played over and over again, along with graphic photos from his autopsy. So he was apparently listening to music and wearing a mask that covered most of his face. That's what made him suspicious. A 911 caller reported him as suspicious, and the police stop quickly became physical after McClain, seemingly caught off guard, asked to be left alone. He had not been accused of committing any crime. The encounter quickly escalated, with officers Nathan Woodyard, Rodema, and Rosenblatt taking McClain to the ground, and Woodyard putting him in a neck hold and pressing against his carotid artery, temporarily rendering him unconscious. The officers told investigators they took McClain down after hearing Rodema say, "He grabbed your gun, dude." The initial statement was heard on the body camera footage, but exactly what happened is difficult to see. The prosecution urged jurors to be skeptical, saying Rosenblatt said he could not feel anyone reaching for his gun. But defense lawyer Sisson pointed out that McClain said, "I intend to take my power back," which he argued showed intent. Paramedics injected McClain with ketamine as Rodema and another officer who was not charged held him on the ground. He went into cardiac arrest en route to the hospital and was pronounced dead 3 days later. Innocent person just walking home from a convenience store, not accused of fucking anything. Now we're going to go to Alabama, where a story earlier this year captured national headlines. A young lady reported that a child had been abducted on the side of the interstate. Apparently, the story was made up. He has been found guilty of making a false report.
Breaking news for you, this time from Hoover. Carly Russell, the woman accused of faking her own kidnapping, shows up for her first court appearance just hours ago.
A judge finding Russell guilty on misdemeanor charges. The story captivating the country after police say Russell admitted the hoax after police searched for her for 48 hours. Our Jen Horton was in the courtroom to explain what happened today and what happens next, Jen.
That's right. The case is now headed to circuit court. That's because Carly Russell's attorneys chose to appeal this case to state court. And while we know she's admitted to this kidnapping hoax, this decision to appeal has more to do with legal strategy. The state's seeking a year in jail and more than $25,000 in fines and restitution. Her attorneys do not believe the crime warrants jail time, and they say they can't find another case in the state where someone served time for a Class A misdemeanor. Russell walked into court with her family today. She was seated with her attorneys in the courtroom, who said she was quite nervous.
She has apologized for what transpired. I don't want her to have any type of breakdown or anything of that nature. So we're handling her with kid gloves and trying to make sure her mental state is just fine.
This case will be prosecuted in the Bessemer Cutoff Judicial Circuit, where we do expect the state and possibly the defense to put on evidence. And it's important to note, if this case does go to trial, she will get a jury, which is not available in municipal court. And this may not be the end of it. Today we learned the State Attorney General's office has impaneled a grand jury in this case. Morgan?
Wow.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, the state of Alabama is absolutely going to come down on her with the full force of the law. Because of course they are. I said it when we were doing the story originally, like she might have had some sort of breakdown. I don't know. They didn't mention the child abduction. That was one of the original things that she said she'd seen, like a child on the side of the road or some shit. Apparently all of that was fabricated. I don't know what the reasoning was. Sad all the way around. Justice system in this country is fucked up. Allow me to give you another example. Perry Lott exonerated after 35 years. Wrongful conviction in Ada, Oklahoma. Let's hear from him.
Perry Lott. And as you can see, I've just been exonerated. And I feel like firecracker. I feel like a whole 4th of July, man.
After 35 years of wrongful conviction and 30 years of incarceration, Perry Lott was exonerated in Oklahoma after DNA evidence proved his innocence. The state's case against Perry rested entirely on a highly questionable eyewitness identification, even though he had an alibi and didn't meet the physical description of the attacker. Additionally, no physical evidence connected him to the crime. Eyewitness misidentification is the leading contributing factor of wrongful convictions and has contributed to 64% of the Innocence Project's 245 exonerations. In 2014, post-conviction DNA testing proved Perry's innocence, but former District Attorney Paul Smith refused to vacate his...
In 2014!
It wasn't until 2018 that Perry was released after 30 years of incarceration, but his conviction wasn't vacated until the Innocence Project asked Oklahoma District Attorney Eric Johnson to consider his case in 2023.
It's hard to explain how I feel, but if I could just share this with you. There is so much joy, there is so much comfort in knowing that people are on your side when nobody else even believes you. I'm feeling that right now. And with the Innocence Project and all the lawyers involved, I just want to say thank you. I'm grateful. There are no words that could explain what you mean to me.
So exonerated and had his conviction overturned. So 2 days ago, Perry Lott was exonerated in Ada, Oklahoma, having been incarcerated for the 1987 rape and burglary. I'm sorry, I think I said murder earlier. 30 years on rape and burglary. Post-conviction DNA testing performed in 2014 from the survivor's rape kit proved Mr. Lott did not commit this crime. The state's case rested entirely on the survivor's identification. If you'd like to read more, and also go follow the Innocence Project. They do an amazing job. Follow them everywhere on social media, and if you've got some money to contribute to them, please do. Now I'm going to tell you the story of a woman who is not innocent in any way. Get ready for this one because it's a doozy. There was no sausage involved this time, though. We're going to go to my hometown of Pikeville, Kentucky. A Lexington woman was arrested in Pikeville after a disturbance call at Applebee's. Now, that headline does not encompass the story I'm getting ready to read to you. According to an arrest citation written, this is kind of a long one, stick with me here. According to an arrest citation written by Pikeville police officer Larry Thacker, on October 8th, Pikeville City Dispatch received a call from the manager at Applebee's stating a customer was causing a disturbance. Hey, Jackie, you look like you're having a good time. The customer was later identified as Jacqueline G. Anthony, 40 of Eureka Spring Drive in Lexington. Upon arrival at Applebee's, Thacker made contact with the manager, who stated that Anthony had left the scene approximately 10 minutes to Thacker's arrival. The manager stated that Anthony was cussing and yelling at people. It's an Applebee's, what do you expect? And when asked to leave, she became angry and threw several objects, which hit the door. The manager stated, I'm amazed you didn't have a bad trip in Pineville. This is Pikeville. Pineville is about an hour and a half away. Okay. There is also a Pineville, Kentucky. The manager stated that he did not want to file charges, according to the citation. However, he wanted to make police aware of the situation. Don't do that. This poor woman. At approximately 5:16 on October 8th, Pikeville City Dispatch received a call from Anthony, at which time she stated she wanted to speak to the officer who responded to Applebee's. So, she called the dispatch. Like, yeah, I want to talk to that cop that went to the Applebee's. What? She stated that she would be at the Double Quick on Bypass Road. Upon arrival at the scene, he found Anthony's vehicle unoccupied. He entered the Double Quick and observed Anthony checking out. Anthony was very hyper and could not stand still, was talking very fast, and would change subjects quickly. Thacker then asked Anthony to step out of the building and to her vehicle. Upon arrival at Anthony's vehicle, Thacker asked her for identification to confirm who she was. She then became irate and stated that her ID was in her wallet, but she could not find it. Anthony then got into her vehicle, at which time Thacker instructed her to step out to perform standard field sobriety tests. At that time, according to the citation, Anthony started the vehicle. Thacker again instructed Anthony to exit the vehicle. However, she placed the vehicle in reverse and backed up at a high rate of speed. Anthony then proceeded to go forward, passing several vehicles in the opposite lane, and then turned left on the bypass at a high rate of speed. Thacker activated his emergency lights and initiated a pursuit. Anthony came upon an intersection where other officers were waiting. Anthony made a sharp left turn, missing the other officers. Anthony went into the grass and over a concrete wall at a transportation building. Anthony then exited the vehicle and sat on the grass, at which time she was placed under arrest. She stated that she would not take a field sobriety test, and she was transported to Pikeville Medical Center, where she submitted to blood work. As Thacker was waiting for the doctor to clear Anthony, Anthony was laughing about what had taken place and wanted Thacker to give her a high five for the great job she did driving. I'm like Dale Earnhardt, she said. He was cleared by Pikeville Medical Center and lodged at the Pike County Detention Center on charges of DUI, reckless driving, first-degree wanton endangerment of a police officer, that's based, first-degree fleeing and evading police, and traffic charges. During a previous arrest, which occurred back in September, Anthony pretended to be deaf after a Kentucky State Police trooper conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle with expired registration. According to that citation, after she indicated she was deaf, the officer wrote on a notepad the reason for the stop and that he needed her driver's license, insurance, and registration. Anthony wrote back on the notepad, I haven't done anything wrong. I need your protection. Anthony would not provide any information during the stop. The officer said he smelled a strong odor of marijuana. A search resulted in the discovery of a small bag of pot Anthony agreed to perform standard field sobriety tests, which indicated that she could not maintain balance or properly follow instructions. While she was at the hospital that time, she became very irate and began using foul language toward the medical staff. She apparently said that she was a blood relative of one of the judges in the town and wished the trooper good luck in court. She wanted the cop to high-five her for her good driving. Said she was like Dale Earnhardt. At least she didn't assault somebody with a sausage. Thank God this guy at a school board meeting in Arizona also didn't assault anybody with a sausage. Though he almost took his sausage out. Content warning.
In Gilbert, a bold dad stripped down to a crop top and short shorts to make a big point, about changes to the school's dress code. Bianca Bono has his story.
If you ask me, this is inappropriate for a board meeting.
You might be wondering, why is a parent wearing this to a school board meeting?
I really had to make a statement.
This is Ira Latham, a Gilbert father with 4 kids in the Higley Unified School District.
These are my babies, these are my kids. I'm concerned about them.
In May, the district started dress code discussions, looking to update the policy, which hadn't been changed since 2001.
This is a very polarizing and controversial subject.
Board members split on the issue, some advocating for a new, looser dress code policy, eliminating restrictions, allowing for exposed midriff and spaghetti straps and halter tops, saying the existing policies disproportionately target female students.
We're saying that they need to cover up because the way it might make someone else feel, and that is wrong.
Others advocating for a more modest dress code.
If we are prepping our children to be college and career ready, then they need to learn to be able to have self-respect.
The proposed policy also catching the attention of parents like Latham.
My concerns were about preparing students for entering the workforce, setting the right expectations, having respect for other students in the classroom.
After speaking out at a prior meeting, Latham opted for a different strategy last month.
Under the proposed policy, this would be appropriate in a classroom.
Latham stripping down to a crop top with spaghetti straps and very short shorts.
The dress code that they wanted to get to is just basically a dress code for a public pool. Make sure that kids cover their underwear, and that's about it.
But despite Latham's demonstration, the board not skirting the issue, in a 3-2 vote, they approved the new, more lenient policy.
Good. It's going to be harder for the teachers to have to deal with this new policy. It's going to be more distracting in the classroom, and it's going to have some parents that want to pull their kids out of the districts.
In Gilbert,
let me tell you, if you don't want your child dressing like that, don't let them. Problem solved. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to impose your morality on others. Schools are already too strict on children, and let me tell you, when the number one cause of death in children in this country is guns, I think what children are wearing and reading is far down the list of priorities. I think you are absurd, and I think you were looking for attention. You wanted to get national attention, and you got it. And I wonder, you think he might be involved with one of these far right groups, tangentially related to the like Moms for Liberty types? That would be my bet. But hey, at least you gave me that video I was able to play. Unfortunately, last night I lost my 14 cents that I would have made from YouTube to Stephen Colbert because I played a clip of Max Frost on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Getting ready to lose my 14 cents on YouTube again tonight. Apparently, Colbert was making fun of one of the people we love to make fun of here on this show.
I was on crack.
Right.
Don't say his pillows are lumpy. He really, really hates that. I wonder if Colbert worked that in, because fucking Lindell is pissed.
Hold still. No.
Okay, Mike, what's your rejoinder? That's in New York City. That's an elite crowd. They're belly laughing of you and your employees being on the breadline. Your response, sir.
Yeah, he's such a scumbag. Did I spell that right? SCU.
Wait a minute. They're laughing at you and your employees being on the breadline. How many pieces did you do about Bud Light over the summer, Steve Bannon? Huh?
Belly laughing of you and your employees being on the breadline. Your response, sir.
Yeah, he's such a scumbag. Did I spell that right? SCUM bags. I said to them lawyers, this guy's even worse, Colbert. He attacked my employees directly, making fun of that. Hey, gee, I want to protect my company, so I'm not going to continue with $2 million a month lawyer bills. I'm not going to let everything go down because of frivolous lawsuits and lawfare. And for him to sit there and they all laugh about my employees and that my pillow, that we're just that because I want to protect them and want to protect. They have families. These guys have been with me for 20 years. We're not going anywhere. And the War Room Posse, by your support, they've been great. And I know when I watch this, it just sickened me. He's such a late night host that do this to my pillow.
Well, have you tried not having lumpy pillows and not overturning democracy? Not being on crack? Maybe then you wouldn't get made fun of, sir.
I was on crack.
Right.
Just throwing it out there. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, is the Friday the 13th night freak show. I will be joined by the lovely Media Wench. First time we're broadcasting on Friday in a while. It's possible there's gonna be a speaker vote at some point in time. Maybe Media Wench and I will be talking about that. Who knows? But I promise you, 10 p.m. tomorrow night, Media Wench going to be here with me. You're going to hear the Friday Night Freak Show music for the first time since Christmas. And it's the first time Media Wench and I have been on stream together since Halloween of last year. She was my special guest co-host on Halloween of last year. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, the Media Wench. Joining forces once again with the FREAKIN. Also, if you guys think you saw me commenting on Twitch, if you thought you saw me in a Twitch chat, no, you fucking didn't. That's totally not me. No. Last night, I played you a video of my friend. She has a cat named Retro. Retro had a blockage in his urinary tract. Had to have a catheter put in. He is feeling much better. Here he is after he got home from the vet today.
Hey, Reggie. Reggie, Retro. Are you mad at me?
Probably.
Such a fluff muffin.
He is a fluff muffin. Look at that baby. So glad to know that Retro is feeling better.
Reggie.
Want to give you guys an update. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We will see you tomorrow night on the Friday Night Freak Show at 10 p.m. Eastern.